You know what's funny about John Wick? He's killed 299 people with a pencil, a book, with anything, you name it. See, I've ran every possible situation through my head of Baba Yaga going up against some of Resident Evil's greatest foes. And let me tell you, there's one specific moment that not even John Wick's plot armor could protect him from. A moment so brutal it made me think about everything I knew about each franchise. Before we throw John Wick into the meat grinder, we need to establish some ground rules. See, John Wick operates in a world where ammunition is basically infinite, and headshots always work. Resident Evil, well, let's just say it's the kind of place where your knife has a durability meter. Imagine John Wick having to pause mid-fight to rearrange his Tetris inventory. Oh, sorry, Mr. Russian mobster, I have to combine my green herbs with my red herbs. That's just not sliding. But I'm sure there's some diehard movie fans in here saying John Wick would wipe the floor with any of these guys. I'll get to why you're wrong in a second, just wait. But here's where things get interesting. John's greatest strength isn't actually his accuracy or his infinite bullet count, it's his adaptability. This guy we're talking about turned a library book into a weapon of mass destruction. And in a world where you might have to just fight a monster off with a spoon and heal yourself with a first aid spray, that's actually a pretty valuable skill. Though I wonder how they'd react if John Wick tried to ask for a rocket launcher and a weirdly specific octagonal shaped thing to go into a puzzle door. But before we watch John demolish some basic zombies, let's start off with what might be the easiest scenario for our pencil wielding assassin. The infamous dog scene. This scene is from the original Resident Evil game. Now normally this moment terrifies players, but we're talking about John Wick here. He's not just a regular player. Look at you, Cheetos all over you. Get up. I'm just kidding, stay here. We're talking about John Wick, the guy that started a war over his puppy. And I don't blame him, I do the same thing. These zombie dogs aren't dealing with your average STARS member. They're facing someone that has more confirmed kills than some small armies. Some things that could help him with this fight are his exceptional reaction time, he's an assassin. His close quarter combat skills, because it's a zombie dog, it's gonna come sprinting at you. If it closes a distance, he knows how to handle it. And not to dwell on this too much, but he literally killed 3 men with a pencil. You don't just do that. But then we also have something that might make it a little bit harder. We talked about how he started a war over his dog dying. We know this man has a soft spot for dogs. We don't know if he even has a soft spot for zombie dogs. So this could go either way depending on how his emotions are faring that day. If he's really reminiscing on the past about what brought him to do all this, he might just sit there and let the dogs eat him. But more than likely he's gonna stab them and kill them. Rest in peace, puppy. PETA, stay away from my video. But let's not just talk about the dogs. Let's move on to the village sequence from Resident Evil 4. You know, the one where Leon gets surrounded by a bunch of Gandos. I still can't say the word. You guys, you're gonna have to deal with this. Including our favorite bag-headed chainsaw guy, you know, Dr. Salvador. Look at him, he's so cute. And most first-time players panic, run around, and barely survive. But John, he's played these games before. I've played these games before. This is literally what he does for a living. The Gandos might be infected with Lost Plagas, but they're still essentially just angry farmers with pitchforks. John regularly takes down whole buildings with trained professionals. The difference? These villagers don't have body armor, or even basic weapon discipline. They'll just go throwing their axes at you and not care where it goes, and then just pull one out of their pants. And then let's also think about this. I know, oh, it's a zombie. Sometimes they can take more than one shot. That's okay. If he messes up a little bit, realizes, I mean, he's a trained assassin. He can put 2 and 2 together. He's like, oh, that person has a random thing coming out of their head. They probably aren't normal. How about instead of shooting them once, I shoot him twice. What I love doing is comparing John Wick to Leon, because they're actually pretty similar. They're both swift, moving, agile guys that catch on properly, and they know how to get out of a situation or two. But John might be more trained than Leon. In the Continental Shootout, John Wick killed about 38 guys. Not just guys, highly trained professionals in about 10 minutes. These weren't just random thugs. These were professional killers who actually knew how to aim their weapons. The village layout is actually perfect for John. Multiple entry points, plenty of cover, and enough ammunition scattered around it to fuel all of his infinite guns he can find. This is perfect for an assassin. Take cover, shoot, take more cover, shoot again and reload, I don't know. But we have the big monster here, the big, ooh, scary guy, Dr. Salvador with that chainsaw again. We talk about him almost every video. So he's coming running at you. You're John Wick, right? He's got a chainsaw, he's revving it. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he can do that. He can disarm you faster than someone asking, where's my dog? Sorry, too soon. Or too late. But before you think John has taken over the Resident Evil universe in the bag, think again. Because this is where things start to get a little bit complicated. Because while basic enemies might be a cakewalk, as they're supposed to be, there's something in Raccoon City that might even make him change his career choice. Remember Nemesis, the walking tank with a rocket launcher with his vocabulary limited to 1 word? Well, he's where things get interesting. While John has dealt with some pretty tough customers before, he's never actually gone against a biological weapon like this. Let's talk about what makes Nemesis such a fascinating heart-pounding matchup against John Wick. This bad boy doesn't have the courtesy to stay dead. And unlike those village idiots with the pitchforks, he's actually packing some serious hardware. Think about it. John's whole fighting style revolves around efficiency. 2 shots to the body, 1 to the head. Oh, yep, they're dead. Rapping again. Then he moves on to the next target. But Nemesis, he loves bullets. He's just like... he eats them, bro. John Wick's never dealt with something like this. Remember how John likes to create distance, take cover? He's an assassin, for crying out loud. Yeah, good luck with that when you have a 9-foot tall bioweapon chasing after you. This guy can break through walls. He can throw cars. He's just nothing that John's ever seen. He's like a heavyweight WWE fighter that's also Terminator. But like we said, John's best ability is to adapt. Even though I feel like adapting to actually seeing a bioweapon like this for the first time might be a little If John wants to win this, the goal isn't to outgun him or outmaneuver him with martial arts or something. It's to outsmart him. He needs to not try to fight these confrontations head on. He needs to try to think of a way to trap it, and yeah, just trap it. He needs to trap it somewhere. And that's what would most likely get him the win against Nemesis. Nemesis might be unkillable, but if you want to talk about unkillable, let's talk about the Baker family. And hey, it's our favorite hillbilly regenerator again. This is where things can kind of get dicey for our boy John, because Jack, he'll play that adapting game right back. The problem isn't trying to hurt Jack. John can do that all day. I mean, we're talking about a guy who can take a chainsaw to the face. I don't know if YouTube will let me show this. He walks us off just like it's a paper cut. Sadly, for our boy John, it's not gonna just take a pencil to take out Jack. But again, it comes down to adapting, so he just has to out-adapt Jack. This is gonna be a hard one. John survived impossible situations before. He's thought outside of the box. The question isn't if he could kill Jack, but if he could just keep him down. Some of our things that Jack was hoping for are thrown out the window. He likes to adapt, he likes to hide, but when you're facing the ultimate adapter, shout out PG and Berleezy, and also when you're trying to adapt to someone and they're inside their own home, you might be cooked low-key, but you're John Wick. You have a bunch of movies and you're still alive. But while these fights could go either way, we're about to run into some scenarios that not even John could prepare himself for. Because there's a bit of a difference facing superhuman monsters and Del Lago. I love saying that, it's so much fun. Let me paint you a picture real quick. Del Lago rises from the bottom of the lake. You're stuck on a tiny boat and a harpoon gun. And then if we also put John Wick in Leon's shoes more, he's also infected with Las Plagas. If you're here, you can't dodge it with any fancy moves. You're stuck on this boat with me. It's just John, a tiny boat, a harpoon gun, and him. John isn't used to this combat. He's used to being able to hide, find cover, roll around, and just pick up whatever ammo he wants, but he's stuck with what he has here. Most of the training at the Continental that he's been through will come up as useless during this fight. His perfect headshot record, try hitting a critical headshot when this thing opens its mouth and just eats your harpoon. But you guys are probably like, oh, he has such good focus, he's an assassin, dude, of course he's gonna do it. Yeah, you keep trying to keep your mind straight while you're being pulled around like a ragdoll on this tiny boat. The thing about John is he actually has a little bit of control in all of his environments. Even if he's infiltrating a giant enemy base, he can still control some of it. But hey, let's take a little break. I mean, look at them. How could they be scared? Oh, yep, okay, they're drinking my blood. Lady Diamitrescu and the daughters. Let's talk about the vampire lady and her 3 lovely daughters. John Wick, now that we're here, he's dealt with some pretty big opponents, but they usually don't turn into a giant dragon like this. And I'm pretty sure those opponents didn't have daughters with some crazy abilities as well. They can literally turn into swarms of insects. They want to be Sadler so bad. You can't punch a cloud of bugs. Also, have you guys realized that Resident Evil kind of has a thing for bugs? I mean, Marguerite, Sadler, now the sisters. I don't like bugs. But this isn't about me. This is about John Wick. Moving on, sorry. John Wick's famous kill him with a book isn't gonna work on these bugs. Ooh, that was creative. And then when they're not bugs, they're basically indestructible. Unless you find a cool breeze. Then they'll disappear. But here's the moment that I promised you from the start. Or not. I can't remember. That was a long time ago. Oh, it was only like 8 minutes ago? Okay, my bad. Mother Miranda. Think about it. John Wick's greatest weapon is understanding reality and his adaptability, but Mother Miranda makes him throw all of that out of the window. Like all of it. Get rid of it. The floor beneath your feet might certainly turn into the ocean. Everything, your mental, it's going crazy. He's never experienced anything like this. This is all mental. He's fought everything physical before. So imagine you're facing Mother Miranda, the strongest being in like the Resident Evil universe. Maybe not. Prove me wrong in the comments, I guess. I mean, she killed me plenty of times during my playthrough. Like, imagine the door you're running for to get away from her turns into a wall. John, I'm sorry, but this one I'm saying is a definite no-no. I think you're gonna lose this. I'm sorry. But if it makes you feel better, I wouldn't survive it. Keanu Reeves, if you're watching this, love you. So, could John Wick survive Resident Evil? That's kind of a tough question. If we're talking about certain games, maybe. And then, to be honest, for most of it, he could survive. He could honestly make Leon look like an amateur in most scenarios, but there's even a point where Baba Yaga has to admit ultimate defeat. Because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the one that you can fight, but the ones that change the very nature of what fighting even means. But hey, that's just my opinion. I wanted to combine two different fandoms and talk about them because I like them both and I think they're cool. Now you can go back to typing in the comments to tell me about how you'd win and what part you'd win at, because I'm interested to see your guys' opinions on everything. Now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to stick around for next week's video and click the video on the screen right now, because if you like this one, you're gonna like that one. I say it every time, and I know it's true.